Alright guys, so today we're going to go over a few things. We're going to start with the ATC and how to put it in guide mode, and then we're going to go over to the Prusik Minding Pulley, and we're also going to go over to the Micro Traxion. Okay, so we're going to start with this. Now the ATC has two orientations: high friction mode, which are basically these teeth here, and low friction mode, which we typically don't use. But in the guiding world, we're going to use the ATC in guide mode, or the reverso in guide mode often. Now how we do that, this is the guide ring here as we see. We're going to put the guide ring, let's put it actually this way here. I'm going to put it into this orientation. Now when you do rescues, I always recommend the ring faces you and then it avoids a twist in the rope going down to the client. But anyway, so we'll put that in there. We're going to close it up. And now we have the rope. So now what's important here is we have two small drawings basically, but just to describe what we're going to see. We have a hand here and we have a climber here. So the climber's rope goes on top of the brake strand. So what that means is that if this is the climber's rope here and this is the brake strand, I'm going to put it in this orientation, meaning just like this. So the climber's rope's on top, the brake strand's on the bottom. I'm going to put a carabiner here. Okay, now when you do this and you're checking, you want to make sure that if you pull the climber's rope, what happens? Nothing should happen, right? Because the climber's rope is biting or forcing the brake strand into the teeth, okay? If I pull the brake strand, nice. Okay, now you want to make sure you test it before you actually set up the Hall system in totality. You want to make sure you check it out and that it should be moving properly, nice and smooth. You pull the client strand, pull the brake strand, and then take all the slack out of the system, and then you can make your system. But that's basically how it's done. To talk about a common issue many people have is they'll put it in the wrong way. So they'll put if we say, once again to review, this is the client strand, this is the brake strand. People do this and they put the client strand on the bottom, brake strand on the top. Let's close this. And now if they pull the client strand, the slack keeps feeding, right? This is the strand the client's on. That is not good. And they pull the brake strand and nothing happens. They can take slack out. So that's the one way that people make a mistake with this. And that is how we use an ATC. Next, we're going to move on to use the Prusik Minding Pulley. All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about a Prusik Minding Pulley. So just to show you the different types of pulleys we have, we're going to look at the Petzl Mini and the Petzl Partner. So the Petzl Mini is a Prusik Minding Pulley. You'll notice the different shape than the Petzl Partner. So this is not Prusik Minding, and we could even see the wheel that's exposed here. Here you have a clean, this metal over everything, nothing's exposed, and the Prusik is meant to hit this, maybe catch in this area or hit the side, and it doesn't suck into the pulley. Whereas here you have a chance of it sucking into the pulley. But if you're not going to do a Prusik Minding Pulley, then this is a great option to have the Mini. So we're going to use, the Partner. We're going to use the Mini now. I'm going to put it on the carabiner. I'm going to put it just like this. Rope goes through onto the carabiner. Carabiner gets locked. Okay, now very efficient, fantastic. This is the client strand, this is the brake strand, okay? Just to show you. So now, what we're going to use, actually first, what we're not going to use a hollow block for this, because the hollow block is thin enough that it can get sucked into the pulley. I've seen it happen before personally, so don't ever use a hollow block when you're using a Prusik Minding Pulley. Okay, we're going to get rid of this. We're going to use a 7mm cordlet here, or 7mm, 1.5 meter length of cordlet. So I'm going to tie a Prusik on the client strand, a 3-rod Prusik on the client strand. Okay, we just wrapped, we're grooming now, and we're going to set it. Okay, now the Prusik is on. Once again, this is the client strand, this is the brake strand. Okay, so let's say hypothetically, let me show you the cons of this system. Make sure we still have at least a fist here. So let's say I put this in the focal point. Okay, put this in the focal point. And now how's the system operate? So the client is on this strand here. The client's weight is pulling down. My brake hand pulling out slack. Client's going back down, pulling out slack. Do you see all this travel here? It's a lot of travel. We can avoid this by just making this Prusik much shorter. Ideally, we don't want to lose all this every time we haul. We're losing this much. You want to keep it as close to the pulley as possible. So a possible solution for this problem is you could put it in the shelf if you want to put it a little higher. That's one option. Right, and now you can see it's much better than it was. Or you can just shorten it and making sure that you still have at least a fist here. You see some ends coming off of my hand there. Now how this works is, once again, I'm pulling the brake strand, pulling out the slack, and now I have to reset, and then it takes the client's weight on the Prusik here. Okay, there you go. So that's how it operates. Next we're going to move on to the Micro Traxion. Alright guys, so now we're going to talk about the Micro Traxion, a fantastic device, but definitely something that you want to graduate to once you completely understand the ATC and guide, and then once you've read the manufacturer's recommendations and understand this is not a belay device, this is only a hauling device. So you definitely don't want to take any shock loads with this because a shock load will tear the sheath. So how does this device work? Well, first it opens like so, and you have a cam here, a release button on the top. When you push that, the cam comes down, has teeth on it. We put in a rope like so, and we want to haul. We're pulling the brake strand, and the client strand pulls, and you can see the teeth go into the rope, preventing that rope from going back down toward the client. And that's how basically this device functions. Okay, now let's put it in the proper orientation. The rest of the video we had the client on the right side, brake on the left, same for here. So we're going to look at the orientation now. We have a little hand here once you open a hand, and we have a weight on the left side there. So the weight is going to be where the client weight is, and the hand is going to be where you're pulling the slack. So in this case, I'm going to have to flip it around because the client is going to be on our right side and the hand's on the left. So I'm going to close it now. Put it on the carabiner. And this is an oval carabiner as recommended by Petzl. It keeps the device relatively straight. We don't want to use a para carabiner according to the manufacturer standard, so pick up your oval carabiner. Okay, now once again, remember we have the client on this side. I'm going to engage the cam, and the client weight is on the right side. I'm going to pull, client weight pulls, and my brake strand left hand, and it stops. So I can pull as much as I want here, but what I don't want to do, I don't want to have this where if I weight this and I pull very hard here, that's called a shock load. I definitely don't want to do that or have any circumstance where I'm doing that. So if you're using this device, this rope should always be taut, the client rope. There should never be slack in the system. This should never happen, okay? And that's the Micro Traxion. So those are the three options. We have the ATC and guide, we have the Prusik Minding Pulley, and the Micro Traxion. The device that I've always used and I continue to use to this day for the most part is the ATC and guide. The Micro Traxion I do bring with me for alpine trips and sometimes in the glacier. I rarely use this, but it's good to know. This is not a full system. A Prusik is not a full system. So if you want a full system, you're going to use either an ATC and guide or a Micro Traxion. Of course, this once you understand the cons of using this system and the potential for shock loads. So until next time, take care.